If you're selling B2B on LinkedIn, just get to the point. People, CEOs, prospects, C-level founders, directors, and head of marketing, sales, operations, these people don't have time to sit on LinkedIn and respond to your 25 questions before you then eventually obviously ask them to get on a call. When you're selling B2B, you want to be direct, be respectful of their time, and get across the message that you're trying to get across and give them a reason to want to get on the call for you. And if they don't, you can just move on quickly and it's better for both. My name is Colin Gallagher, and in this video I'm going to walk you through a one-shot 50-word LinkedIn DM, a framework for that you can send to any prospect in the world, C-suite, whatever it is, higher level prospect that's respectful of their time and gives you a very high chance of getting on a sales call with them. I'm teaching a few clients how to use this at the moment, and they're getting up to 30% response rates, which is insanely high for LinkedIn DMs. So let's go through it. I'm going to make this relatively quick because I don't want to waste your time, because I know you're busy too. So let's get into it. There are basically two simple parts. First is actually sending the DM. The second is sales enablement. So you can play this kind of two ways. They can either be already connected with you, or maybe you've sent a blank connection request before this, and now they're in your connection pool, or you can send them an email. It doesn't really matter. This framework can be used at any of these points. You're at the point where you have a prospect in front of you, they have a LinkedIn profile that you have access to, and you want to say something to them. So you can use this 5-part framework in order to send the message. So I'll walk you through this example that I sent here. So it was, hey name, saw you bought my playbook, did you manage to access it? Okay. So this person had bought a product of mine that they've been on my website and all that type of thing. They don't necessarily have to have been an inbound lead. I could start by saying the second sentence here, which is another part of the personalized opener. The point of these 2 lines is to make it very clear that this isn't automated, because people are so allergic to like AI automated content and things like that. You want to make it abundantly clear as possible that you actually type the thing, and you will get a lot more responses for that. One small thing I do here is I separate all the messages. So when this person's seen these messages, they've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different messages sent over a few minutes, but they're still separate messages, and an AI bot or automated messaging isn't going to be that good at that. And also the grammar isn't perfect. I will say intentionally, but that I typed it on my phone, so it just came together like this. So second line was another part of the personalized opener, was looking through your LinkedIn and saw you've been doing some great stuff in the outbound space. So I had a look on their LinkedIn, they're in the outbound space, and part of their tagline was $4.1 million in 116 days is top of market results, haha. Something pretty straightforward. You know, I'm not going to light the world on fire with how funny that was, but clearly it's not going to be AI automated. Then we have a transition. So I said this for a reason. I said, seeing you've done a lot of work in the outbound space, might be worth us having a chat. I'm giving them a reason. Now I have to tell them why it might be worth us having a chat. I introduce an authority line with some relevance. So this is effectively my value proposition, or a version of it. So I've ghostwritten content and consulted multiple people in the AI and outreach space to help them build demand on LinkedIn. Then I followed it up with some proof. So 2 people who are in LinkedIn AI Mastery that I've helped. There'll be 2 examples of people who are generating multiple qualified inbounds every week. So I'm backing it up, giving a reason for a chat here, and then backing it up with some social proof behind it to say I'm not just full of hot air effectively. And then a fairly direct CTA. So worth a chat to see if I can help you drive inbound demand on LinkedIn. And he just said, hey, come on that. We want to see what the trigger was. There has to have been a trigger as to why I reached out in the first place. So in this case, I saw you bought my playbook, so they had bought a product of mine, so I knew these people were a pretty warm lead. They don't necessarily have to have been an inbound lead though. We can find other types of triggers. I've done lots of posts on these in different posts, but it can be triggers like got a new job, got a raise, got any of the content that they've written, an event they've been at, something that you can cling on to, or something that you can find or gives an indication that they're more likely to be interested right now in what you're doing, because then that gives a reason for you to transition into your value proposition quickly. You can't just say, hey, the sky is blue, might be worth us having a chat, I can help you get leads on LinkedIn. That doesn't make sense. There has to be a trigger, something that is public information that's publicly available. that tells you that it might be a good time to reach out now. As a different example, just to move away from just LinkedIn content, I'm working with a fractional CFO who targets universities in the US at the moment. The trigger that he's going to look for is he's going to go on perplexity.ai, see their attendance numbers for the last 10 years, and if their attendance has been dropping for the last 10 years, that's his trigger. And he's going to say something like, hey, name, did some research about university on law that your attendance has dropped from X to Y, and then some compassion to the person that he's reaching out to. Then he would say, it might be worth us having a chat. I've his value proposition, some people he's worked with, and then would you like to hop on a call to discuss this further? So that's a trigger. They don't have to be an inbound lead. It can be any public information that you can find that will make it highly likely that it makes sense for them to hop on a call with you. So that's step one, just the direct DM. This took me about 3 minutes to write. It's highly scripted effectively. Depending on what space they're in, I need to adjust these types of things and who I drop in the case studies and things like that. But very quickly, once you get in the system for doing this, and also you can easily train people to write the DMs on your behalf. Second part then is sales enablement. So I've reached out cold. I kind of want to make sure they know a bit more about me before I actually get on the call. So what I do in this case is I book the call to get that locked into the calendar, and then I offer them a document. And that document, basically, we have a couple of things here. So I want to make it a small effort for them to read it and to get a big reward, so an incentive. So basically the small effort is just spend 5 minutes reading the doc before we chat. It'll tell you a lot. It'll tell you my system. It'll tell you how I can help you get results and pricing. So I give away my pricing up front. That doesn't make sense in all cases, because if you're selling, it depends on what your service is, and I won't get into it now, but it doesn't always make sense to give away the exact number of pricing in all cases. However, I would price anchor in this document. So I would say, all these services are worth X, Y, Z, and if you combine them together, that's, other services are charging X amount per month. So I would price anchor at the very least, but maybe not give away the exact price. Then you have the link to the document, and I want to make sure that they're going to open it at least to click it. So I just say get them to make a micro commitment. I'll just say, does that link work okay? Even though I know it works okay. He said yes, so that means he had to open it, so he at least opened a tab, and that's the little micro commitment, and he's more likely then to go back and actually read it. Usually also the social pressure of me saying, hey, does it work okay, and they've acknowledged that they've seen it, then when I do get on the call with them, they will feel the social pressure to have read it, or they will feel maybe a bit embarrassed or silly, even because they are not living up to their word straight away. So it's just a little thing that can go a long way. And then inside that document, what I put in is basically a full breakdown of everything. This is effectively a sales letter, breakdown of the whole system, the problem, the system for fixing it, the steps involved, the results they can get, some social proof, and then what they get, big breakdown of what they get, more social proof, the cost, the guarantee, all these types of things are in here. So this gives the person a chance to self-select. It gives them a chance to opt out if they say, okay, I see the price and it doesn't make sense. Then they don't have to attend the call. So I know that if they've read this document, they know the price. There's not the awkward, speaking to someone for 29 minutes, and then at the end saying, oh, and by the way, the price is blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, I can't afford that. There's none of that. So it eliminates a lot of that process. So that's a little recap on how you can go, a quick two-step and still have warm leads getting on the call. High quality, high value prospects don't have the time to respond to your 15 DMs. They just want to know what's in it for them, if you're worth listening to, and if you manage to convey that in a way that's interesting to them, they will say yes, and they will hop on the call, and then they'll read the document beforehand. It can be that simple. So there's a lot of information, obviously, about content, about messaging, about social selling, about all these other things. My experience is when I'm dealing with high value prospects, like 50, 60, $100,000 LTV contracts, and people in high places in companies, they want you to get to the point because they want the solution. They just don't have the time to talk to you for half an hour in order to figure out if you have it or not. So get straight to the point, follow these two steps, and you'll close a lot more deals through LinkedIn. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn a bit more about LinkedIn AI Mastery, there's going to be a link on the bottom of this page. Click it, and I'll see you inside.